of the myths we take on. I picked a couple that I know are hot issues here in Alberta. We all know that educating the nation's youth is expensive, and there are always constraints on school budgets. So schools frequently opt to increase class sizes and often argue that a well-trained teacher, a highly qualified teacher, can engage students regardless of the number. This, of course, is patently untrue, but it doesn't stop people from making the argument. The argument should have been settled years ago when my co-author and others did a meta-analysis. That's a quantitative synthesis, which you take all sorts of studies, put them into the same metric, and ask how kids did or how people did. It established the considerable benefits of smaller classes if the reduction in size was sizable. And that's the key. There's the curve. The upper curve are well-controlled studies. The lower curve are poorly controlled studies. This is the difference between a kid who is not in a small class. We set that at the 50th percentile. That's the average kid. And then we say, what would happen if you had a class size of 1, which is the far left, where the curve is up. That kid in a tutoring situation, one-on-one, is at the 80th percentile compared to the kid who's in a regular class. So tutoring may be the most powerful education force we have, and it's not used very much. Cross-age tutoring is possible. Peer tutoring is possible. They're very inexpensive, and they all work remarkably well. But in my country, they're hardly ever used. And when I question people on it, they always say, well, it's a managerial nightmare. You know, and it is. But now we have computers that can schedule the mentor and the tutee and that sort of thing. We could do much better, I think, than that. But you notice what happens to the curve. It starts to drop as class size goes up to 10, to 20. And by the time you're talking about 25, 28, 30, a drop of one more kid doesn't make much difference in achievement. Okay? So that's the problem for us. A big gain in achievement will not occur with a change of class size from 28 to 30. So some administrators say, well, let's do it. But the issue really comes down to what would that be like for young kids, for small kids, first graders, second graders, third graders. If you have every class size at 28 or 30, you're shortchanging young kids. I'd rather see 32 in the upper grades, but 15 at the lower grades. The notion that we should be the same at every grade is just silly. Young kids need the socialization, they need the personal attention of teachers and that sort of thing. And some classes like English literature, you got papers to grade. If you ever want to give personal feedback, then English literature has to be one of those that you work at. So we have to adjudicate. But the big change is not going to come in the area near 30.